Welcome back to the 5th episode of the Skeptics Podcast with yours truly, Dylan Turley and
John Reeves.
And today, we're kind of just going off the cuff. Everything's been last minute. Our last footage kind of got scrapped because we were messing around with new stuff in the mics. It didn't turn out that well. Sadly, it was with my brother, but he's going to come back, and I think it'll actually end up being better than it was the first time. 100%. Especially for some information that he found.
Got some juicy content for you guys.
We're saving that for the next one.
It's so good.
But today, I don't know how many people's been noticing lately, but there has been a whole lot of stuff going on in like the aerospace and world when it even if it's DEI having all kind of different people to try to join their jobs, airplane doors coming off, other parts coming off, and John was just telling me just now that some Boeing whistleblowers, I guess you would call it, is just kind of falling like flies. And I'm sure we talked about this before, but we used to work. Well, I guess we used to work with a guy that worked for Boeing for a little while. You remember that?
It might have been.
His name's crossing me now. Dude lives off the grid.
Yeah. He helped set up some solar.
Yes, yeah. For the life of me, I can't remember it. It'll come back to me in a minute. But I was talking to him one time, setting up a hunting thing.
Hunting blind?
The hunting blind or something like that for our boss. And he was telling me that he used to work for Boeing. Now, I'm just going off of this man's word, but he seemed like to be a pretty knowledgeable guy, especially setting up solar panels and all that stuff. And he was telling me the amount of stuff that he saw with his eyes when it was at Boeing that was like stuff that you heard in movies. And if you are in this world, this is probably something that's like, oh, well, I've known about this forever. But one of them was like the birds that was in like Hunger Games, they had cameras in them. Mm-hmm. He said that those are 100% real. Now, I don't know how good they are or anything, he said, but that is something that is very true, is the cameras that we could put in these birds now. Speaking of that, a whole different thing, I just got back from Tides of CNC for a work thing, and there was a guy walking around filming everything, and he had like the little selfie stick, but it didn't look like there was anything on top of it. And the guys that was with me was like, is that guy just carrying around a stick? And I kid you not, it was a camera that was probably like this big.
Wow. On
a stick that he was walking around. I mean, I thought, you see with GoPros and stuff.
All right. Yeah, but he just measured out about a half-inch, we'll say.
Yeah. I mean, it was stupid small. And because at first we all thought he didn't have anything in his hand. We were just like, why is this dude walking around with the gyroscope thing? There's nothing on it.
Yeah.
And then we got really, really close to it, and it was a little camera. So, but anyway, if you want to explain a little bit more about the Boeing thing, because I haven't heard about the whistleblowers, but one of my biggest conspiracy theories, or whatever you want to call it, is something to do with airplanes. Mm-hmm. But go ahead and talk about that.
So I feel like I heard about 2 or 3 different instances in the past just a couple of weeks. But here was a report I had seen that said another whistleblower dies after sudden illness. Kind of suspicious. According to reports, Joshua Dean, a 45-year-old former quality auditor at Spirit AeroSystems, a major Boeing supplier, has passed away from a sudden illness. His death marks the second loss of a Boeing whistleblower this year. Okay, so it's 2. Following the passing of John Barnett, 62, in March, these whistleblowers had previously raised concerns about safety issues and manufacturing defects in the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft.
So, something that anytime I see something like that, I kind of think about is even say you put all the wild stuff to the side. Like, if they're making some kind of airplane that makes chemtrails or something, put all that to the side. Even if you're talking about safety stuff at this point,
right?
Kind of going back a little bit. So I don't know how much you know about it, but all these companies nowadays are trying to fit in these requirements where you have to have like one of every gender, one of every race, and just all kind of different things to just kind of fit a quota that, hey, we are diverse enough to have all this stuff.
Right.
And I think it was United actually that put this thing out on their Twitter or Facebook or whatever it was, pretty much saying that they were looking to hire transgender pilots. Now, if you're statistically looking at that, I don't know anybody that's a pilot. Do you know anybody that's a pilot? Like say a pilot that flies passenger planes.
I do not know a commercial pilot.
Okay. I don't know anybody that's transgender. I don't know if you do.
No.
So if you're just going off a sample size of 2 people right here, it would seem like that would be very hard to find if you were just specifically looking for a pilot that's transgender.
Right.
So say you wanted to make that happen though. What's the one thing that you would be like, okay, we could probably let some stuff slide on it to get them in there? You think they're going to tell a transgender person that, hey, we need you to rather change your transgenderism, whatever you want to call it, or let's just dumb down on how hard it is to be a pilot, or let's dumb down how hard it is to be an engineer, or let's dumb down how hard it is to just be a mechanical person that puts a door on the side of the thing. Because imagine your sole goal being to hire as many different people as you can, no matter what. You would think, with the percentage that we're talking about, that you would just have to kind of make it easier. Kind of like, in a different way, the military is with women. They now had to change the PT requirements, I guess you would say,
right?
Because a lot of women just can't do it. That's how biology works.
Right.
If you needed to carry a 200-something pound person, my wife is strong as I'll get out. She's like 150 pounds, and I'm 200 right now. Without kit on, it would be wild to watch her try to carry me. So I would think that they're probably slacking a little bit.
Possibly. I mean, I do have to raise the question of, like, think about the more highly populated areas for transgender and different types of people. Like, I think it's pretty well known. San Francisco, I think, is
Probably.
It's got a higher population of different types of people. What if, like, that's where you're scouting, though? Does that make sense? Like, what if you do? Because, like, let's say you are a company who has the money to spend on those efforts in finding the right people. What if you do go scour a place that's got a higher percentage chance to find somebody who is in the demographic you're looking for, as well as has the mental capacity to do the job and what you need them to do?
Do you think a transgender person is somebody that has that mental capacity, though? And I'm not hating on anybody. This is a serious question because talking about just your mental state for anything, there's been tons of people now that's coming out that did all the surgeries and everything to try to move to being a different sex, even though you can't, no matter what you do. And they're saying that, hey, I made the mistake here. I wish somebody would have told me this. I wish somebody would have told me that. So if you were to just put it in a category, and I'm not saying everybody's just messed up completely about it,
Right.
but I don't know if I would be as faithful if I was on an airplane and I looked up there and there was a guy that was talking like a girl and was just kind of like they're almost. Some of them act like they're in a different world. So would you want somebody like that to even be flying your plane?
It's a good question. I mean, because from the outside looking in on somebody who has these ideologies and views, I mean, it's no problem for them. You see what I'm saying? Because to them it seems normal, right? But for a person who, because there has to be a baseline. You can't just say everybody's normal. There has to be a baseline. So
right.
For somebody who is normal, that's not normal. Does that make sense? So now there is, like, they are the odd person out. But I do question. I do just thinking it through, though. like we've had the people in sports recently,
Mhm.
where there have been men transition over into women's sports, and then there's been I felt like there was an uproar in several of them.
Oh yeah,
because they're dominating
they're
the sport.
absolutely.
So I guess technically you could say the same thing about a person who has the capability to do the job, but the safety aspect of it, right? So
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So sports doesn't involve
You having to
a 500 seat passenger plane,
right,
something
right,
crazy.
Exactly.
That's a little bit. Now you're taking somebody else's life into your hands, not just your
Like
own.
I would like to see I'm sure there's, or I would hope, I don't know. I would hope there's a lot of tests you would have to go through to be a pilot.
There's a
For commercial planes. Like to just to fly your little Cessna or whatever the heck it is around, man. Probably not really. I don't think it'd be that much.
what about flying the plane? Having hours behind the seat is from what I've heard, and so like, yes, there is some rigorous schooling you have to go through, but there is part of it that is, well, from what I've seen, obviously what's going on at these companies. I mean, they could do whatever they please.
Oh yeah.
But for some people I know who are looking into this kind of job area, there's not a ton of like great options, really, unless you like join the military or something where there's people who already have large passenger planes and they're willing to teach you to fly them because you're signed on to work for them for 11 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I'm saying that I think the chances of cutting corners is a lot higher because I mean I don't know that many transgender people that would even really think about being a pilot. So if your main mission, we have to have three transgender people fly an airplane, but you couldn't find any, but you had to have that. I would think the liability of being able to be like, hey, those three, they don't really know a whole bunch. They don't really technically want to learn a whole bunch. But if we do this, and we cut the corner to this, and I would hope it's not that when it comes to pilots, like you said, when it's taking somebody else's life into effect, I would really hope it doesn't. But in the end, the same people that build the doors on the side of the plane are almost the same thing because that one door took off in like Alaska or something, and apparently it ripped that shirt right off that kid, which I don't understand how that happens. But I'm glad everybody's safe, but it seems like that's been happening more because there was another instance not too long ago where the landing gear got jammed, or something like that. And both of them has been followed up at this point where I'm pretty sure it's like people were just like, oh well, we didn't check it good enough.
Yeah, but so what about that though? Like, is it a standards issue or is it a quota? You know, they're trying to meet a deadline. They're trying to meet a quota. Like,
right.
We need to make 25 planes this year. And so when the guys
no matter what,
he's like, well, we gotta make them, and he signs off on it.
See, I think it's almost a little. The chance of that's a lot higher than the other chance because even take cars nowadays, like nowadays if you buy a new car, which I think this has probably been a while, but there's a lot of people that's like, I won't buy a new car. They're like, when I mean new, I mean like a new generation, new stuff's been put in the car, something like that. I don't mean necessarily the actual year, but because you don't know what's going to happen to it. You don't know if somebody didn't put that part in right, that part was in right, maybe the tolerance is off there and it ends up screwing something up down
right, on like a redesign.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm sure as of anybody that's ever done any kind of quality work, it's like, you get tired of looking at the same thing over and over and over and over again. If you see one that's just got a little scratch on it, and you're like, that'll fly through. Next thing you know, the door comes off when you're flying the airplane.
So I wonder what's up with that. So like I've toured several manufacturers, and like I've been inside one who makes the hydraulic components for tractors and stuff. Excuse me. And they have a pretty tight QC because we're talking about a fitting that has to withstand a high pressure hydraulic line. Okay. And those have to be manufactured to a certain specification so that they're not too weak and explode this metal housing because now that's like a ticking time bomb, and that can hurt somebody.
Right.
But also, it can't be not done to a well enough point where it restricts the machinery, and now you're going to cause mechanical failure somewhere. And that stuff, they have gauges and things.
Right.
And so there's a clean room where they have all this like stuff that's set up, super clean. They have devices to check their measuring devices every so often. It's on a schedule to make sure everything's within a certain specification. So I wonder what that looks like on their end. Do they have a guy who's checking the equipment that's checking the equipment? Does that make sense?
Yeah, they probably do, but all I can think about, and this is just because I went to the course to be a mechanic. There was some guys in the class that was like, that should be torqued down to 85 foot-pounds. There's other people that was like, couple ugger-duggers, and it's on there. And both people were smart.
Right.
And one of them claimed that he could know the torque spec just by the way the gun was feeling, which maybe over time there's some merit to that. But, like, in the end, you have to check the torque. So I'm wondering, is there somebody walking around checking the torque on everything?
Right.
So, but to the overall question, though, if this guy was taken out by somebody, what would be the reason that he was taken out? If it was something to do with safety.
Well, the thing that comes to my mind right out the gate is even just comparing a company like Boeing to a small company like I was talking about.
Oh yeah, dude, it's insane.
Dollars.
100%.
The guy who's getting paid, I could almost see them being like, dude, we pay you this much so that you keep your mouth shut.
But what's he keeping his mouth shut about?
They're like, hey, well, you need to sign off on a few things that shouldn't be signed off on.
That shouldn't be signed off on.
You know, that kind of stuff. Or maybe you've seen it. You know, maybe you work for a guy. There's 5 guys, and then you have the 6th guy, and that's your boss. Mm-hmm. And you're going through, and you're checking things, and you report to your boss, and you're like, hey, this isn't safe. It needs to be fixed. And he goes, okay, I'll get that taken care of.
And then just sends it out.
And then you see it pass on through.
I got you.
You know, what if you had something like that happen, and they're like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy because he can let the world know who passed it through. And it may be, you know, a big name guy.
It might be a big name person. No, that's the only reason I could really see why anybody would even do anything like that. And that's got to be pretty bad. I mean, and if that's true, that's just showing the rest of the world that think like we do. Maybe it does happen. That they're just going to keep letting it happen. If you're taking out the guy that's trying to spread the message that, hey, this is going on, and he just suddenly passes away like that, we all hope that he just peacefully passed away.
Right.
I mean, I would hope that. I don't know. But that just go ahead and gives it away that, hey, we're going to keep doing what we're doing here. We're just going to make it work.
Right.
Or not make it work, but I mean,
I just get by, yeah.
Right. I don't see any other motive why. I don't think Boeing's like trying to sabotage their own airplanes, because in the end that's bad for them.
Right.
But I think if this guy did get taken out for some reason, then that means somebody's cutting corners somewhere, and he was trying to be the person that did it. Now it is kind of weird that it's been 2 guys, and they're both part of safety stuff. So I don't know. Do you fly many planes?
I've only flown on a few, so we'll say 3 or 4.
Every plane that I get on now, it's like there's a feeling. It's like I should be checking the stuff, and I mean, and that's not your job.
Right.
Like when you get on the plane, it's not really to just be like, okay, is that good? Is that good? Is that good? Do I look at the pilot? Does the pilot look like somebody that I trust? Not. Is my opinion now swayed because I've heard so many other different things in the last little bit?
Right.
So I hate that for people that do have a fear of flying, because that's just going to increase the fear.
Right.
I mean, that's not building the... And I'm sure we all know there's planes that land every day that's just fine. But if you keep showing and showing and showing, it's just going to make less people want to do it. And then in the end, it's bad for Boeing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, hopefully...
Who's buying their planes? That's something I just thought about. Who is buying those planes?
Oh, probably other big, massive companies.
People like United?
Right. Do they actually own the plane?
I don't know. I was curious on that. Or like American Airlines.
Yeah.
But Delta.
Right.
Is there any way that you could research and see, like, maybe Southwest Airlines doesn't use any Boeing planes. So you fly Southwest all the time now.
Good point. Well, I know the United for sure is trying to do the whole thing where they're trying to hire somebody from different. And that just makes me skeptical now of because I don't care what you are, just be qualified to do the job.
Right.
That's perfectly fine with me.
Right.
So anytime you put something out there that's saying, "Hey, we're really trying to get this thing," then that makes other people that work at the job just feel bad because what if you're hiring this guy in that doesn't know as much knowledge, but for more money just because he is what they're looking for?
Right. Yeah, I think it feels dirty just for the fact that, like, what if you have a guy who's been flying for 35 years and he's been flying C-130s for 35 years.
Yep.
He's got a flawless record. He shows up to apply for the job more qualified than somebody else who's like, let's even they've been flying, but it's only been for 5.
Right.
And this dude's got hours upon hours, and they're like, nah, we're gonna turn you down.
Yeah.
Because this person is the proper demographic.
Right, because it's like, this is the person that we're going to put on the front page to where we're like, oh, look, we care about everybody.
Right.
And if you really cared about everybody, though, you find the people that can do the job so people don't get hurt.
Exactly.
So, hopefully we're wrong about all this.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully. But as the people that we are, you never even know.
Nah.
So, that is... I don't know. If I ever get on a plane now, it's like slowly. I should just go home and watch a bunch of videos of everything going okay. And it's like, and I'm by no means scared of heights or planes or any of that stuff, but it's just like nowadays if I get on there and there's like a bright-haired blue person driving the plane, I'm like, whoa! I'm like, I see your credentials. Because
Let me stop you there.
Yeah. I mean, I can land this plane, maybe, but... Pretty confident. It's like, I told Kevin that a couple of days ago. I said, go ask any man that's past like 20 if they think they could land a passenger plane if they need to. And it was a couple of days ago as a friend of mine was talking to some dude, and we were like, have you ever been on a plane? And he was like, yeah. And I said, you think you could land one? And he was like, he's like, do I get like an open runway? I said, oh yeah. He said, oh no he's like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, yeah, just full confidence, just lay that puppy down on there real slow.
I think I seen a study done by some college, and they went around and asked everybody in the city, and it was like in the 80th percentile, like 80% or more men was like, oh yeah, I'm landing that plane.
Why is that?
Without a doubt. I think some of it has to do with the confidence and that we think it's easy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem hard. Think about the movies, right?
Oh, I know.
And I know a guy who he didn't actually fly a big airplane, but he flew in a simulator, and these simulators are
they're supposed to be lit.
They're literally like 100% accurate.
Right.
Besides the fact of actually flying.
Right.
And he has some flying experience with helicopters, and the guy was like, you want to try this? He goes, yeah. And he takes off and landed it on the simulator, no problem. And the guy was like, bro, he's like, you made that look easy. He was like,
yeah, he's like, just slow her down a little bit, put her down. That's all you gotta do.
He's like, it's all about that throttle, you know.
I wish I was talking about it with my with Boss a couple of days ago. The flight simulator games that you can get for like Xbox and everything.
Yes.
So on the games now, you can like adjust the difficulty rating.
Yeah.
So it's like if you put it on easy, it will only show like the buttons in the airplane that's basic. It's got like the auto level or when you fly and all this other stuff. But it was like when you go over here to like simulator mode, which is the highest mode of the game, it's almost everything's real. Like all the buttons can be pushed.
Yeah. And
you don't know. I mean, you do if you're sitting in them. But I was like, I wonder how many people like get in this thing and they'll hop in like the A10 Warthog and they're like, dude, I got this right here. You're like, let me buy one of these and I can show you how to fly. There was a movie that was about that too, but because you remember I talked about it I think with you and Connor not too long ago about that. There's a movie called Gran Turismo and it's a true story. Like they took people racing car simulators to see if they could race whatever. It wasn't F1, but I can't remember. Maybe it was.
No, I think it was what is that called? Like a Grand Prix.
Grand Prix, yeah, that was it. And I wonder if anybody's ever done that with video games. That's a little sketchier, but it's like,
well,
it's like,
I mean, I did watch a guy who shot airsoft.
Yeah.
And seen if airsoft guns could translate over to real firearms.
Very closely.
And it was very close.
Very close. I'd like to get an airplane simulator.
Me too.
Just to start messing with it.
I think it'd be hype. I remember, you know those games you'd go to the arcade?
Oh, dude.
And you put the thing in, and you got the shifter, and you're racing.
Oh, no. Have you ever played the helicopter one? To where it spins? There was a place. It was like Chuck E. Cheese.
Fantastic.
Maybe
with a star.
With a star, that was it. So
it.
in the middle of it, it had like a freaking Apache helicopter thing.
Yes.
And at the time, I was too young, and I remember when I finally got able to do it. Like it'll almost flip you over, like when you're flying the thing around. I mean, obviously, I don't know if a helicopter can do a backflip. I'm sure there's some people out there that can make it happen, but in this game, you couldn't do it. But man, I'm talking, you get jerked around. This was not a simulator game. This was you just pull the trigger and light up whatever you were shooting at.
Right.
So that would definitely be a fun thing to get to experience. Every man from now on should be required to do a simulator to learn how to fly an airplane.
There we go.
Put it in the schools right there. If I had to do an airplane flight, the next thing you know, we got some.
Well, you know, it's like I always say, that little extra thing you got in your
arsenal,
stacking the deck. Yeah, the arsenal.
Yes.
You know, I've got all kinds of skills that are not even useful at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I love knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
Just knowing.
It's like John sitting there and the plane's going down. He's just waiting, watching everybody. He's like, all right here. Pulls his pants up. I got this, guys. The plane's like this right now. Goes over and just lightly lands it right there on the spot.
Hey, if you got places to go and people to see.
Dude, that's right.
Ain't got no time for the...
One guy's already proved if you can land it in the Hudson, you could probably land it anywhere.
Hey, what about that one guy? The Sky King.
Oh, dude, shout out to that guy. I showed him that a couple days ago. So this guy, if y'all have not seen it, it's a sad story, but if you want to talk about living the last moments of your life, like doing something that's absolutely incredible. So there was a guy, I think it was in Alaska. I can't remember what his name is, and I feel bad because I shouldn't know the dude's name. But he's a legend now because he hijacked a plane. I can't remember what kind it was, big plane. And I'm not recommending this whatsoever, but if you watch it, you'll get like a teary eye, but you'll smile at the same time because you can hear in the dude's voice. It's absolutely insane. But he's flying it around Alaska, and he asked the control operator of another plane if he thinks it can do a barrel roll. And this is a big plane.
Yeah.
This is not a small plane. And he does one, and even the people on the other airplanes, he's like, yep, he just did a barrel roll. And he's like screaming everything. I'm like, dude, this is so cool. I hated the outcome in the very end, though. But, yeah, they got like memorial videos on TikTok and everything with the music and everything. Dude, he gets you. But you're like, that guy right there, like, he went out. And he didn't want to hurt anybody. He said that in the whole thing. He said, I'm not here to hurt nobody. He said, I just wanted to fly an airplane one time.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think that's too bad. Like,
I don't either.
I mean, I hate the way it ended for the
guy.
Oh,
100%.
But he didn't have a malicious intent.
Not at all.
There was not one point where he was like,
I'm about to hurt somebody else.
He was like, yeah, it was
I'm
about
so upset.
Somebody. Yeah. He was just like, I wanted to fly a plane.
Yeah. The transgender, and I've said that so many times now, transitioning into another thing about the airplane. So one of the biggest conspiracies I like to talk about all the time, he knows it's one of the first questions I'm going to ask Jesus when I get up there, is what happened to the Malaysia plane. So I've studied this way too long, and you get to like a certain amount of answers that people has kind of came up with. There's a certain group of people that thinks the plane landed in the ocean because there was like one or two guys, I think it was, that found debris, but it wasn't like a lot of debris, and then he randomly started finding it like very quickly. So a lot of people thought he was kind of staging stuff because it wasn't really that big of stuff. One thing I think that he found was big, but they couldn't directly show that it was to the plane. They think that the plane crashed in the ocean just because a flight analog or something like that got jacked up. There was another group of people that think that the pilot was committing suicide. And then there's a whole other thing, or no, it was another one actually. There's another one that people think that it essentially kind of went invisible to everybody, and they landed it somewhere because, and we can't say this for a fact, but there has been reports that there's been some very interesting people on this airplane. But recently, my mom, shout out to my mom, She's into this stuff too, and she showed me a video that's by a husband and a wife, I'm pretty sure, that used to be on Fox News, and it's called Redacted. And it was a long, an hour or two podcast or something like that with some guy in it that's kind of like me that's been studying it, but he has way more resources than I do, pretty much. And he apparently got access to drone footage that has caught the plane in the footage. And this is absolutely insane. Not as insane as the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
But it's well, actually it kind of is. So in this video, what essentially happens is the plane's flying and they got it on this video. Mm-hmm. I don't have any clue how you could tamper with it. I'm sure there's people out there that's done some incredible stuff that made stuff look fake. So I'm not saying this is real, but it definitely opened a whole new mindset. If this is real, excuse me, it's next level for the technology of the world. And I actually hope that it's not real. I really hope it's not real. In this video, they essentially made this plane literally disappear out of nowhere. And as crazy as it sounds, I'll give you like a short setup. So I encourage everybody to go watch the video. Come back, put in the comment section because I like to read them. And I respond back in them all the time. And this is just one of the most interesting topics to me. In the video, there's the plane, obviously flying. And there's these three little orbs that essentially starts showing up on the drone footage. Mm-hmm. And they had the drone footage, I think it was like, they had it regular and then it was like thermal or something like that.
Okay.
And you could see the orbs almost just in the thermal. But these actually, in the whole case of the UFO thingy, is you can actually see what looks like some kind of thrust coming out of the back of these things versus like the ones that just go side to side or whatever it is.
Right.
And there's three of them that start circling this plane, and in like an instance, it snaps and it all goes away. So now there's this thing that's talking about having someone has created the ability to transport things, and it's wild. Trust me, I personally don't think that's what it is, but think about it for a minute. If that technology was true, because this guy in this thing was saying that it was coming from good old fashioned Lockheed Martin.
Oh.
I don't know how he came up with that, but that's why I encourage everybody to go watch it because I'm just giving you a little piece of it. But he was saying that he thinks that Lockheed Martin has somehow figured out a way to where they can move things like extremely quick to the point to where it looks like a blink and it's gone. And it's wild to watch it in the film because it almost gives you like goosebumps because it shows every bit of it. Like, and maybe they did this because it is fake, maybe it's real, whatever. But it's not like, I would think it was more closer to being fake if the airplane was right in the middle of the film, like it was like a film in a movie, like that was supposed to be the main shot,
right.
And then it just happens. But the airplane's just kind of in the side of it. But you can see the whole thing kind of go on and everything. But if that technology was real, then that opens up the technology for insane stuff to be real.
Yeah.
If you can move one object from like here to here, mm-hmm. whether it be that it for some reason it's just completely off of everything for that little point of time, or if it actually jumps from here to here. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, from the outside looking in, because I haven't seen this.
Right.
I've got a few questions.
Okay.
As well as I have a little, I don't want to call it insight, because it's not insight, but it is at the same time.
Okay.
So
before you get into this,
yeah.
I know you don't know about all the stuff as much as I do on the thing, just because I'm obsessed with it. Just from a person that doesn't search it that much, what do you think happened?
Alright, so check it out. I got a couple of theories. Number one.
My auntie was on that plane.
Number one, it crashed.
Okay.
I mean, plain and simple. There's been other boats and planes that have gone missing over the years that stayed missing for, I don't know, 150 years, 200 years, and then somebody finds it, and they're like, yep, that's it. I mean, the ocean's vast. What does it make up, like 80% of the Earth or something crazy?
Right.
And so tell me, you're telling me that the ocean that's got currents that are so strong that it literally changes the seascape underneath the water?
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't move a plane? So if the plane crashed and it hit a current, which current shift, by the way, and it took it one direction, and then the current switches and goes a different direction, and I'm not saying it goes left to right, but, I mean, it's water. It can just go north now or whatever.
You don't think we have the technology to be able to find that now, though?
Man, I personally think we probably do. And so, it's very possible they'd already found it. And it's under wraps. Something went down. It could have been...
Somebody shot it down?
It could have been military, you know. It could have been one of our enemies shot that plane down. 100%.
That begs the question, why?
Man, come on.
Because this was a Malaysia plane. This didn't actually have anything to do with us. Now...
Right, but if it had top dog people on it,
right.
supposedly...
Right.
What an easy way to get rid of them. Especially if you're a foreign government with money to spare.
Right.
But that's just
do you think, with the knowledge that you have, do you think that there's a way? Okay, let's say this. Do you think there's a way to hack a passenger plane, like to where the person in it literally doesn't fly it anymore?
No, not on a plane like that, I wouldn't say. I don't think those planes rely on any kind of technology that's so advanced that it could be tapped into by another device.
So, without just getting into a lot of the details, there's is it called a black box that's on an airplane? Okay, so the black box is supposed to be like the last fail-safe to have any information about what has happened on something.
Yes.
That is supposed to be tracked at all times, like even outside the plane. Like if it came out the plane, everybody's supposed to know where it is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a way that you can technically turn off anything.
100%. So like on certain military aircraft, they have the capacity to turn their stuff on and off. Well, I would assume that these other planes have the same capacity.
For a public plane?
It's probably not easy. It's probably not easy, but it's definitely doable. I mean, anything is capable, I think.
The plane, as of we know now,
yeah,
the black box was turned off at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they turn the black box off though? Because after the black box goes off, there was a satellite or something like that caught it. Doing a circle or something around that concept. So if the plane wasn't shot down yet, why do you think you would turn off the black box?
Well, let's just even say this then. What if...
Because at this point, the plane has been proven that it was flying after the black boxes were turned off.
I know this is gonna... It's starting to get out there. It sounds crazy. It's the theoretical.
You're talking about out there, dog. I'm literally talking about a plane disappearing out of nowhere right now.
But depending on what kind of people were on that plane, people that may not be mentioned or listed. Okay.
Osama bin Laden.
Well, let's say they're
Martin
trying
Luther
to
King
get out
Jr.
of their country. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say you're a diplomatic individual from China.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, some stuff's going down over here in China that I don't want to be a part of no more.
Right.
I want to get out of here.
Okay.
So you get in contact with somebody else. It could be anybody. I'm not saying the U.S. I'm saying it could be Europe.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Russia.
Anybody.
And they say, all right, this is what you're going to have to do. And they literally lay it out for you. They're like, when you get on the plane, there's going to be these things for you. You're going to cut this wire. It's going to kill the black box, right? We're going to have a pilot already on the plane.
I was about to say, so if this was to happen, somebody in the cockpit had to know about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that guy took care of business. And because here's the deal, I think people...
So was this a double cross then?
Because I'm torn. It might have been. It might have been a double cross because here recently we had a fighter jet go down stateside, and they acted like it took them like a day or something to find it. Something ridiculous. And I'm like,
I remember that.
I'm like, you're joking.
And that was the newest airplane that we had.
You're telling me you don't know where those are at all times? So if you can lose one of those, you can definitely lose a big airliner. Because the sky is vast.
So is the ocean.
So is the ocean. I did say that.
Well, we found the jet.
Yeah. Also, they found the guy. How crazy would that have been? But that's a whole nother thing. The dude landed in some guy's backyard. The plane kept going.
Yeah.
Ejectocito.
Yeah.
But
I wonder, did the guy ever say why he ejected?
Not publicly. We didn't get a report on that. He did. There was reports though of the guy whose yard he landed in. He told the guy, he's like, I need EMTs down here now, and I need this, I need that. And the guy's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he's like, well, this is southern Montana, boy. I don't know if it's in Montana, but that'd been wild. He's like, their town ain't but 300 miles that way. He's like, good luck.
What do you want me to do, brother?
Did that happen in Top Gun or something like that? Didn't he eject at one part? Man, I think of another movie, but he came down like a bunch of public people, and they're like,
I don't know if it was in the public.
what in the world?
But no, let's circle back. So, talk about Lockheed Martin. I think they do. It may be a subsidiary of them, but it's called Skunk Works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's where they're cooking the cool stuff.
Meth.
Yeah. But most people are familiar with the SR-71 Blackbird.
Right.
It's a counterintelligence plane.
Yep.
That gathers intel. From sources that I know, back in the day when this plane was released, the Air Force scrapped half of the fleet. So let's say they ordered 150 planes. They scrapped half of those planes. Because what they thought they were going to need, they could do with half the amount of planes. At maximum altitude, which is almost outside of the stratosphere.
Right.
It's almost into space at this point.
Right.
They could take a picture of your watch and tell you what the time was. And this is back then.
Okay, so why can't you find the plane?
But that's what I'm saying, though, right? It all sounds like a cover up to me. Big cover.
So where's the plane then?
Yo, somebody's got that sucker.
I thought you said it crashed.
Well, I think it probably just crashed.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the easiest one for my brain to
that. I mean, that is true. It is. I mean,
plane crashes. It happens. It happens, man. Listen to all this stuff about Boeing and their planes not being right.
I know, dude.
Let's say some dude left a bolt loose.
They're evil.
Sucked it through.
He let the bolt loose on the black box too. Nobody's ever been able to find that thing.
But okay, so then maybe after discussing it more, maybe it leans me towards more of it being stolen. Either somebody defecting, maybe, or there's a.
See that's almost my number one. I think
it's starting to sound more.
Is it got because if. The only thing I can't understand, well, yeah, I guess I can, is the two guys that's flying it would have had to know what was happening. I mean, they would have definitely, somebody unplugged the black box.
I've already got it.
And then they, I can't remember where there's an island where everybody thought that they landed it. And, I think that's a very good point because at a certain point in the video,
right.
It goes through this really weird flight pattern. And then it just goes in a straight line.
What kind of drone footage are we talking here, if you don't mind me interrupting?
The freaking.
Are we talking like a military drone, something as big as a plane?
So there's two of them, yes.
Okay.
So there's the big,
like a Predator
looking one.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that was I don't know. I might have used the wrong terminology here. Maybe not a drone, but it was a freaking like a. Oh, I guess a satellite or something like that caught it. It might have been two drones. I know one of them was a drone though, but at one part in the flight path, it just goes straight, like for a long period of time until everybody believes that it ran out of gas or fuel. That's a better word. I would think if you were trying to manipulate whatever they have that could show the flight pattern of that, the best way to manipulate it would be a straight line.
Right.
So somewhere in that straight line, they stopped, and my personal opinion, and they took the plane somewhere.
Right.
They landed the plane Timbuktu or whatever the heck you want.
Well, who's to say? What if you don't land a plane on a boat? I know that probably sounds crazy because it was a big plane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Man,
That'd be wild. I've never even thought about that.
I mean,
they landed out there in the middle of water.
You cut your black box loose.
Dang.
You land it, and they have some way to. I don't know how the transmission on those.
I don't either.
But you could put it on another plane, take off, and then run that plane into the water. Make it a little tiny plane that. It would
crazy.
Just crumble under the weight of the ocean. But here's something else I was just thinking about. That's a rebuttal against my own argument.
That's what I like right there, baby.
About it being lost. The Coast Guard. See, this is my thing about people. Like, it took us 5 days to find it. That's all a lie.
Well, yeah, because you remember the sub?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So they said for 3 days, they had us on edge, telling us they're going to run out of air.
Exactly.
And then when
they were already dead.
Yeah. 2 days prior, they had already been crushed.
Yeah.
And they had already recovered the sub and everything.
Yeah.
These guys, we're talking about dudes who are at the top of their game.
Right.
We're not talking about Joe Blow from the gas station. Who's got a van.
Yeah.
That he works out of.
Right. He's tracking the CIA and the FBI. Yeah. NSA or whatever it is.
Yeah. No. We're talking about legit dudes with legit equipment, cutting edge stuff.
I wonder what the reason was behind that. Like, why would you wait?
Just because, I don't know. Maybe because
if they're waiting right now on the Malaysian plane, I think they've been waiting a little too long. Just come out and tell us.
But see, would you even believe the statement they put out at this
Probably
point?
not.
I mean, it
Probably
took
not.
It way too long.
Right.
Whereas with the sub, I could just see.
Well, actually, hold up.
I could see it being sensitive.
Hold up. It depends on who the information came out from.
I guess that's true.
Like if it came out like main source media somehow finds plane whatever, I'd be like, okay, something's up here.
Yeah.
This is way too bland. But if it was just like, I'm trying to think of something that's from where I would hear from it. But you have to cross reference everything though.
Right. Yeah.
So that would. Man, I hope it's out there somewhere.
And y'all be careful with y'all's cross references, please. Some of these companies are all owned by the same parent company.
Oh, that's facts.
And you do got to watch out.
That's facts.
So if you're cross checking for facts, and they're all owned by the
same company, yeah,
then you ain't cross checking. So
that's it. Because I'm sure in that case their opinions maybe aren't that different.
Right.
There might be one or two that's in there, but then it's like it's all coming back to the same motive or whatever it is.
Right.
But my number one, but I just thought I'd bring that up, and I'd love to hear what y'all think about that if y'all watched that video or anything like that, because it was absolutely insane to me, because that starts to get my mind thinking about all this other stuff, that if you have the ability to conquer time, I guess that's the only way you would consider that.
Yeah.
If you're able to move something from one place to another,
right, then
we're getting very dangerous if that's something that's true.
Right.
And I'm a big let everything to the public, but that one right there, that would be. I don't know how many people's mind. You know how I always say, is there some things that you're not meant to know?
100%.
Like it's the thing that God's like, this is too big for your human brain to understand, so don't think about it that much. And that's one of them. And I don't know if if the world was in it, I'd want somebody to say the world's in it.
Right.
But it's like, if we have the ability to go back in time, I bet you that just drive a lot of people nuts. Probably not you, probably not me. You're just like, gonna let it happen. But it's like, actually, no, you would be like, let it happen. I'd be like, what can I do to figure this thing out? Like, I need to destroy this.
You know, it'd be cool to see, but besides that, I ain't too stressed.
No.
I mean, it is what it is. Now, does Lockheed Martin have that capability? That's pushing the limits, I think.
Right.
We're talking about the stuff from, like, the Marvel.
Exactly.
Like, once you become the Avengers...
pretty much. Pretty much.
You're really pushing what I think
Like, the closest thing to Avengers that I actually think that we do have, we probably have some kind of suit that's almost like an Iron Man suit. Now, are you flying as fast as Iron Man? Probably not.
Okay, I have an interesting take real quick.
You think someone caught the plane?
No. I did think, what about a refueling situation? But that's a different topic. I don't know if those can refuel.
I want to know where this plane is so bad.
If you know where the plane is,
that would be wild. Somebody tags us and yeah, you do. They're like, brother, I was keeping this on the down low, but I found the plane. If somebody's on here has found the plane, I will pay for your ticket to come to this podcast to talk about this freaking plane thing.
For sure.
Or if anybody knows information about this thing, I will pay to fly you down here just so we can talk about it, because
love to meet you.
Very, very interesting topic to me, and airplanes in general. What were you gonna say?
I was curious about this the other day. I was watching a video on radios. I'm really deep on the radios right now, guys. It's bad. When I deep dive on some, it's all in. So
yep, unless it's a 4-foot pool.
Well, I'm still all in though.
I mean, hey, dude,
if you're diving,
you're right there. Probably just like that plane.
Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking about this. How much stuff is there to be discovered or to be made?
I think about this all the time.
So I was thinking about it, right? Looking at it from a religious aspect.
Yeah.
Did God know about radio waves? And were there was there anything working on this frequency? Hear me out. Before radios were?
Okay.
So, like, did he intend for that to be a thing?
Okay, so
think about that.
Shout out to my friend James Hill. He gave me a lesson at his house one time. This is one of the nicest, coolest Christian guys that I know. He thinks, and if I mess this up, dude, I'm sorry, but you know how, like, when good things start happening in your life, that it's like you try to ride that wave up.
Yeah.
And wave might not be the right word, but he thinks in some way or form, when something like that happens, that God is essentially putting you in a frequency that other people are not mostly in, that if you can, I guess it's probably more to faith on that side, but keep the faith towards him, that you'll ride the frequency of. And he was trying to say that he thinks that God is the one that can manipulate the frequencies. Now, in like a person, I'm not even talking about comms.
No, yeah.
Like,
well, that's what I'm saying though. Was there frequencies before radios? Do you hear me? Like what I'm saying? And or is everything working on these frequencies? Like, what's happening?
You just put a very good point.
Because here's the idea. Dolphins communicate through sound.
Right.
And it's so many hertz.
Right.
That's a frequency.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Me and my dad can talk with our minds.
So, if you think about it...
I'm not joking, like...
No.
We can't actually talk with telepathy, but
yeah.
we think a lot of the same thoughts, and it's kind of weird.
So, that's crazy, because we use these things every day.
Every day.
But you want to talk about a superpower. Somebody figured out that if you put this frequency and this frequency together, that you can make a call.
Yeah.
That, I bet at the time, I bet people thought that they were God, essentially. I mean, you're
dude. They tapped into something that, yeah,
exactly.
They couldn't.
How do you even get to that?
I don't know. Who thought that up? Who thought? Okay, wait a second. If we can not even transmit.
I don't know.
On a certain level.
I don't know.
And what are we transmitting here? What is that?
That is a good question though. Is there frequencies if there was no radios?
Right. And also,
or did we create the frequency?
I've also been curious about this recently with the radios. I'm telling you, I've dove deep. Everything from digital to analog type of signals. There's frequencies all the time right now. Like, our phones are sending and receiving signal currently. And I was thinking about, like, people talking about cancer causing stuff in foods and things.
Yes.
What about that with signals?
My mom thinks that. My mom thinks that there's a way. Now, we've talked about this before. I'm not saying these things are good for you. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Now, there can be good stuff coming these things.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for this, I'd have probably never found my wife.
It's probably one of the greatest knowledge and communication devices that's ever come out.
Exactly. And if you want to talk about something that no matter how much you explain it to me how it works, I will never understand that. Like that somebody was like, "All right, we're going to tap into these frequencies, and then we're going to be able to create something that talks to somebody else."
Yes.
That imagine that working for the first time. like you're like from this tree, and I'm like, I do something, and I'm like, "Hello," and you're like, "What?" I would be flipping out.
Dude, it would be so hype. Well, just think about the progress. And I think it has to do with maybe electromagnet or maybe some radiation. I don't know. I've not looked into the actual like what a signal is, or like what we're transmitting.
You know how I asked you the question so for a little while God gave the disciples power so that they could heal people and release them from demons.
Yes.
Was that a power that he gave somebody that was like, dude, I understand this on like the next level,
bro? You're not ready for this.
All right, you ready for this?
So they say that we only use like 10% of our brain or something.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe that.
I don't know the actual number. Hear me out though.
Okay.
There's an ideology that before you were born, right, before you were put here, you were an angel,
okay,
right, and your memory has been wiped clean, okay, so that you can have a clean slate here on Earth, so that you can choose to live your life a particular way, and hopefully you live it the right way.
Free will.
But there's also this ideology that like there's a restrictor. The same way you can put a restrictor on electricity.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you can take 150 and throttle it down.
Yeah.
Imagine that's your mind, though. Your mind has been throttled down to a point where, like, it is where it is now. But, like, with those disciples, what if God unlocked a piece of their mind where now they're operating at a higher level?
Brother, I think you're on the track. Because
and so now you're able to do these things that are not normal because you're using more of your capacity.
Right. No, I agree that you're right because think of it like this. I've never thought of it like this until a couple days ago. I was really studying hard on it. Jesus was God in human form.
Yeah.
So him being in human form, he set limitations on himself.
Yeah.
Just to show that you could still be like that and have the faith like that to perform the things like that. Because even though Jesus could do anything in the world, he still had to sleep. He still had to eat.
Yep.
He still had to drink water.
Yep.
Even though he fasted for 40 days, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody do that. But
I've heard of some crazy fast things from some monks.
But that I think you're right. I don't know if it is brain though. I don't know if that's the word.
So now we're getting into this is theoretical. It's all theoretical, but
yeah.
Not really your brain. But what's talking right now? What's talking?
My mouth.
Right. Now what's making my mouth work? And what's producing the words and ideas?
Oh, what, your soul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because guess what? My brain sends electrical signals to make these things happen. It's what's making my vocal cords work, making my lungs work, it's making my mouth work. But my brain alone isn't what's producing these ideas. There's something else that's making my brain work. Right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's producing all this.
Right.
Well,
see, that's why I don't know if it was you that I asked or something like that, but I was like, is God still doing that to people nowadays? Like,
we can talk about that.
Like is in that one part of the New Testament, he literally took his 12 disciples and he said, "Go out, heal people, spread the word of me, whatever." And even though he directly told them that they could go do that. Another thing I always wondered was after they got back, could they do that still? Was it like he took it away? I don't think it ever clarifies it.
I'm not sure. I'm reading about Moses currently.
But it's like because I believe this.
Yeah.
If your faith is so strong that you could probably do something like that.
Yeah. So I believe just from a guy I talk about him all the time. It's a pastor I really like. I don't want to get it wrong. It's Dennis and Arnold. Okay, Murray. they are true scholars of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and they are true scholars in the sense, in every sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
They have studied and went overseas and like actually studied these places where these stories occurred, and so they've, from what I understand, they have at least, and they've really done some deep dive type works. But they talk about, because people write letters to them all the time asking them stuff, and so people have asked, can you anoint your own home, and can you this and that, or ward off bad spirits and type of stuff? I say yes, you can.
Yeah, yeah.
With God's help.
Yeah.
And I think that answers the question. I think yes, it is possible. As much as it's hard to believe, I feel, because, and I don't mean believe as in like that it could happen.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that people are still gifted with
Right.
with capabilities in today's time.
Right.
I feel like we just got so much like negative going on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well, they would. This is we're about to be at the end of our time, but this would be for a different podcast. The thing that goes right into the whole anti-Semitism thing now. I don't think whoever it is that's making the decisions, I don't think they want you to see that because they want the negativity right now. That's what feeds the chaos.
Right.
Is negativity.
Right.
So it's like they don't want people getting closer to God because what if that is true? For like what if you're super close to God one day and then you got a friend that comes up to you and they're going through some junk, and whether you call it a possession or not, but you're like, okay, God has blessed you and you're able to move the faith from you to them. I mean, that would be incredible, but nobody wants to see that because then you're fearful because now you're the one that can do the miracles.
Well, okay, so that's perfect. And let me just touch on this real quick because I was reading about Moses, and he told God, he was like, "You want me to go set these people free?" And God was a little upset by him.
Yeah.
Not believing that he's going to give him these abilities.
Yeah.
And so he sends Aaron with him to help speak. And so I just found that interesting.
Well, it's like Peter in the ocean, too.
Yeah.
It was like he was losing faith in Jesus, and Jesus was like, Peter essentially asked, if everything you say is true, make me walk on the water. And then Peter got out of the water, or Peter got in the water and walked for a little bit, but then eventually slowly started to sink because he was starting to lose faith, I guess, even though he's literally looking at Jesus on the water, which is insane. But, yeah, the world nowadays, and I truly believe this, now whether you really care about it or not, is they're trying to take every bit of joy out of everything because you know what's more powerful than a bunch of angry men? A bunch of men that's capable of doing bad things but are good men.
Yeah.
That's what's more...
Well, and I think bad things is relative. Okay.
Well, I don't want to say violence either, but whatever you want to call it.
But you can call it whatever you want.
Yes.
But if you're stopping bad, that's good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And that's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say about that. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to stop the podcast for today. It's been a good one. Talked about two of my favorite things in the world: the Malaysia plane and Jesus Christ, and got some good information. And dude, you're knowledgeable on a bunch of junk. I just want to put that out there.
I try and bring my A game.
Yeah,
where I'm at.
I just watch it and then it goes in one ear and out the other.
Well,
but is there anything final we want to say?
Man, I do got some. We talked about wanting to be bringing hope, and I think some of our more religious talk is doing that. So God bless. That's it.
That's it, dude. I go back to it all the freaking time. I've been listening to this guy named Dr. John Deloney. Mm-hmm. He's awesome. He's been helping people with relationships and stuff. But one thing, John, you're talking about from a guy and another guy that's only got 14 subscribers. One thing I think everybody forgets, if you want your life to be better, is you be thankful for every single 100%. Thing you have. Doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have a car and you got a bicycle, be thankful for that bicycle.
100%.
The more thankful you'll be for everything, I swear to you, no matter what, and then you put that towards God, which that'll help even more, your life will get better. Literally. And your life will only get better because your mindset is now changing to, hey, man, I got this, to, hey, man, I got this. So, anyway, take that, run with it, be thankful of stuff. That's awesome.
Yep.
This is podcast episode 5, and we will see y'all later.